As back and forth as the first map might have been, you have to wonder whether Clutch will stand a chance against the might of the IHC Inferno score or not. This is truly a map they have tested out and pushed to the limits against international and domestic opposition. Can 910 and company prevail?
Yeah, a map that both them and Rare Atom, both are international and Asian teams in ESL Pro League, decided that is going to be their homestay ground. But that's a lovely shot to start things off, and that's bomb spotted as well. So Stardust got the information and more.
Good for him. Goes forward and picks up another one in the meanwhile as well. And already IHC's pistol has fallen apart. Losing this would make it to 3 out of 3 pistol rounds would have gone by the wayside. But Mara doesn't want to let this one go too easily. The problem is he's let go of the bomb. Even if it might not have been on his back, his teammate has.
Immediate reposition as well from 910 trying to flank round, and this makes it much more difficult for Mara to approach, and in fact will be sidelined because of it. Great moves and some nice shooting here from Clutch to take away another pistol round. You are right, 3 for 3 so far in the series.
And look, the one thing that I'm very curious about, though, Michael, is that I have a feeling that spots are going to change around on this T side. Score had been, experimenting or just rather completely pivoted over to banana control ever since Cabal stopped playing. And this is where I'm very curious about what Mara's spot will be, because Score liked to get really aggressive with Techno, that double aggression that only he could seemingly pull off. What's the game plan going to be over here? Seems like the game plan is winning out some pistols, maybe. IZR, good with an MP9 to at least shut down a few. Remember, there's no armor on these players, as deadly as they may have seemed. They are also equally flimsy as far as their defense is concerned, but a lot of players lost, and Clutch cannot be happy about that.
Yeah, they'll lose one of their M4s as well. One of the few that they invested into that round. The costly mistake to have lost those players so quickly on the B-side approach, but IHC get no further than Banana. The entrance to be fully locked off. They'll be satisfied enough that they still were able to win the round, but you're right, it's not comfortable. It's not something to be too proud about. Into a full rifle round are IHC, and with the damage they did in just the round prior, this sets Clutch to potentially lose hold of the start of this game. Gonna be able to convert this round over if they want to maintain good form.
Very defensive setup from Clutch coming out on this A bomb site. You've got yourself a... They're reading into a Arches pop, interestingly enough. That's what they're expecting. But it does seem like IHC want to go for more traditional brackets control. Not sure about it yet. Could still be the call to come through regardless.
I mean, very limited utility here for IHC, so they're priming up these 2 smokes to potentially just wrap through short into that A bomb site. How those smokes will be deployed, and so they'll have to go alongside it. They don't have any backups. They can't re-exec later on. They need to try and take control now.
Good timing the flashbangs and Molotovs to go out towards short. That'll be delaying them even further. So Hastika and 910 waiting out. The flashbang will at least assist them in regaining some control on Arches, but it might just set up for a demise of... oh my god, they're all dead! They're all dead!
Yeah.
One flashbang for Annihilation is all it takes to completely blind out 2 players. Wow.
Well, that site fell down very quickly, didn't it? They actually had a decent crossfire between pit and site simultaneously, but then they lost their Arches player. It was a flurry of frags that happened in an instant. There was almost no way you could adapt or read past 1 kill.
I would just like to commend the fact that Blitz just read into the read of Clutch perfectly on 3 different levels, basically. Number 1, Clutch sets up for a anti-Arches bot play, and this is something IHC was doing a lot of ESL Pro League, so I understand why they default over towards that. Blitz reads into that, gets a Molotov out for the cubby, forces the player forward and out of position, so they're forced to readjust into the site. Then he reads into the fact that they will be trying to go for a late flashbang retake of Arches as well, gets the kill on Stardust that way, and because they've got the crossfire within the site, yes, that's a great crossfire to hold, but that also does mean the flashes will blind out both of them if they're nicely aligned. So that is beautiful.
Yeah, and Clutch had a couple miscues on what was going on. You know, all that pressure mounting at A, but they didn't, I think, understand just how little was in the tank there for IHC in the utility department, because they were still concerned about a potential re-execution over at B, even with all that pressure mounting. You know, that could have just been standard brackets control for the IHC guys. But running unlimited nades, they had to make their move, and they did so quite astutely. They do reinvest, so they've got pistols and SMGs alike. Still the A1S in Imagine's hands. And that Stardust for Mas, those were saved over from the round prior. And we saw the impact of saved weapons from Clutch on Nuke. Could certainly have their influence once again, but very committed A-side defense, and the majority of IHC currently clustered in at B. Hastica finds perfect timing. Bartek still concerned about the apartments turned around, and so that's an AK gifted over.
Right. Christmas comes early. Didn't realize Santa Claus could get that deadly, but Techno sure as hell can.
They're still going for this. They'll still contest it. In a banana, they are cluttered up. And the flash is perfect. Blitz forced off, but Techno there to compensate. And while 910 does get the trade, Blitz is there to make sure it does go no further. 3 survive here for IHC, and now an eco round on the cards here for Clutch. IHC can move into the lead now.
Like, I know this is wishful thinking, right? I know.
Okay.
But in a world where if we can have Techno come through with a consistent performance, because his ceiling is really high. Techno and Blitz have got the highest ceilings for my money in, you know, all of IHC, including the former presence of Score. But Techno very rarely hits us. But if we can get Techno, you know, maybe taking up some of those spots, maybe taking up a little bit more space and consistently hitting that ceiling, and we get Blitz on full big brain, I am Mr. Chess Master mode, this is going to be very exciting for us.
Yeah, with whoever fills in that 5th position.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair, you know, we're talking about maybe there's rumors about Hastica potentially leaving Clutch, but I think there were even rumors about Tamir going over to Renewal, which is the player that is absent from Clutch. You know, that's where Imagine steps in. There's a bit of a shuffle happening in the Mongolian scene. The Mongolian migration, perhaps. Maybe that's, you know, we talk about CIS shuffles. It doesn't have quite the same ring. We'll workshop it.
It's some sort of cool, like, communal gathering term for like in Mongolia, something like that would be interesting. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out one day.
Well, not the most pristine buy here for Clutch. A couple SMGs darted into the mix, but utility that can help delay. IHC, again, some presence over towards the brackets, and into the arches they'll go. Blitz to lead the way. Stardust 1 kill, but Blitz just galloping straight over and finding that trade immediately. Hastica, hit by the nade, so Bartek knows he's up close, but it's a spam and an awkward duel. Neither of them really coming out the better of that exchange, but Hastica finally gets his kill. It's a 4-on-3, but a very strong set of post plants positions here for IHC where they can cut off rotates.
That smoke doesn't actually help them out very much because there's no one inside pit for the T side. IHC have completely clustered inside the bomb side itself. There's no flashes to overrun. These are some great angles, but they're turning around Annihilation. The one to do it all, at least try. Techno left alone, but his loneliness is killing him. And Clutch come out on top with a fantastic round and a great play from Hastica, recognizing the fact that there's really only one weakness he can look into, and that's Bartek in apartments, the solitary one-on-one duel that was present. He's able to take it. It's clumsy, yes, but he wins it out nonetheless. And Stardust as well, just lining up the potential spam before the smoke bloomed. It continues through shore. gives up his life for it, but guarantees the advantage with Hastika's play.
Yeah, an incredibly scary duel there, and a crucially important one there from Bartak to have lost. Because, like you were saying, it just meant that Hastika suddenly has another avenue in as well. It means that there's more territory that Clutch could set up for that retake. I think their positions in that post plant were fine for IHC, just didn't have the numbers to work with. Good move from Techno around that Molotov, finding Imagine. And evacuates before that nade hits the deck. So they are still trying to maintain some pressure. Grab his hands on an M4. Could duck away, but the Molotov will siphon his retreat. Now a Molotov to greet Mara as well. He actually wants to take the fight.
Uh-oh. Move past already, Mara's gone. Great repositioning, some fantastic individual play coming out from him.
Yeah, even with that Molotov down Mara, I think anticipated he just hazard the extra damage, and that's a great kill from Hastika. That head-to-head between him and Bartak seems to only go one way. This is interesting now, though. I don't think they realize that CT's been exposed this long. No, holding for it, a 9-10, just too damn quick.
Okay. Really great round coming out there from Clutch. Just the defense of Banana pretty much on his own from IZR. Sure, he had some support coming through in terms of flashes and whatnot, but Bartik is just not able to provide that lurking impact so far. It's a very important position for him to have, right? This is one where we've seen so many star players, particularly in the Asian region, come through and prevail on this spot in specific. But losing out a lot of crucial duels, and that can't be allowed to proceed forward.
It's often about timing, good reads on what the CT setups are about. And right now, Bartak doesn't have any of those, but does catch 9-10 this time over. Very, very brazen peak, and Stardust will make up for lost space. 1 kill, and spots a second as well. Imagine's got his at B. Mara down, and this time it wasn't Techno leading.
He is.
The Banana
They're looking
great.
Yeah, they're looking completely lost on Banana from IHC's side. They just cannot find the counteraction to the Imagine IZR double I combination. And, you know, just to go back to what I was mentioning before, Score is generally the guy who plays Banana on T side, right? So that is to be expected, but what is that replacement going to be? What is your workaround? That's where you're looking to blitz to find some sort of fantastic, beautiful band-aid tourniquet that can stem the bleeding that is clearly going on here.
Here for Clutch Gaming. Solid start to their CT side, and their Banana hold being so firm. It's all some doom and gloom for IHC, their map pick in the series. They knew they'd start T.
I do love me some firm Banana holds, that is true. And Clutch is showing us the best of them.
Did you see that giant Banana that was on ESL Pro League? It was massive. About the size of Hugo's head, from what I saw.
I'm not gonna get myself in trouble.
No, I mean, I'm just saying it was, you know,
I realize, but I realize.
Quite a sizable prop. And while Techno is hoping that he can sneak on by, the fact that they still have that firm Banana control does leave a lot to be desired, a lot of information that has been gained. But they're still double set up, and only 2 here. Quick headshot to Stardust could have opened up the round, but a swing and a miss. No surprises. Clutch keeping a grip on their lead.
Could be a last chance for INC over here to actually have a lead in this half. You lose this one out, and Clutch has set up nicely for 8. And we go back to the question about what is the adjustment call from Blitz going to be. They've got 2 grenades, so they've not prioritized Molotovs here. This could just be a quick double fallen nade into a banana and B pop. Bartek as well, one with the grenade makes it slightly more concerning because obviously you want to have that Molotov present on your apartment square. Annihilation's been sent to Apps instead. They're going right through the smoke. Hostika's going to be inside the Molotov. He's burning and Bartek is there to cover him up. They're going straight back to A. Completely evading Banana, and Stardust, well, he doesn't have quite as firm of a grip over here as they did on the B-bomb side. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe this will be the adaptation. If IHC are struggling to assert themselves on Banana, then they're going to have to look elsewhere. You know, they've been able to get a lot of space into the brackets a number of rounds prior. This time Hastika gets caught inside a boiler because he's lingered for a little too long. IHC, this is the fastest round we've probably seen from them thus far, and so very easy to understand why Hastika is caught off by the change in pace. But a 3B start certainly didn't help. Kills on the exit here from Imagine. Money is important here for IHC, so they should not pursue much further. Blitz will try his hand at it, and will succeed this time. Maybe going down with the bomb, only 6 chewed off by the radius.
I know that I'm always making those chess analogies for Blitz and everything, but sometimes you should just play checkers, apparently. B isn't working, go A.
Is that how checkers works?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that's how checkers works, man. I don't think you've ever played a game of checkers.
Well,
I don't think A and B are options.
Left and right.
To leap or not to leap. Those are, I think, the moves that you have in checkers.
You learn something new every day. Imagine is about to learn the flashbang in his face is not really going to prevent him from getting a kill. Thank you very much to the grenade that he's already thrown out. And yes, guys, B-side is still very difficult to take over.
Yeah, 3B start as well. The extra reinforcements, the extra util certainly having a place. Bartek has found his kill, though, onto Stardust. He seems to be able to get the better on that duel. Nastica has been his kryptonite.
Is that a missed name? No. Wow. Okay.
The defensive setups here for Clutch might come back to bite them in the behind. The fact that there is so much room here for Bartek to even consider a creep through into this A-bomb site could be a vulnerability that's exploited. Ooh, zoom in from 910 at distance. I don't think it's within earshot. He'll get there on time.
Audible, but he shouldn't get more than a kill over here, right? The re-peak potential is not really fantastic. They've lined up the double smokes as well. They are going to be looking to nail him down. He wants to go back, peek forward, misses out on the collaterals, and Blitz can just take him down on the refrag. That leaves only one player on the bomb side. Hastika been a fantastic soldier so far, but can he level his rifle towards their heads? Mara with a bomb and distractions, all he needs. Bartek finally, with the assist from Mara, will get the better of Mr. H himself, but Imagine unable to catch off the rotate into the site, and Blitz's timings could not be more impeccable.
Yeah, the A site is now struggling. Where the B site succeeding, Clutch have yet to have a sizable shutdown on the first part of the map. Yeah, it does slip by, but Bartek clears it. A small gap in the defense on that post plant, but IHC makes sure it doesn't go much further than 1 step. Now within distance, they can practically touch them. 6-5, IHC very close to tying things up. If Clutch lose this one, they'll be down in the dumps economically. And want to see whether or not this means the B site will even push further than where they've been extending to. You know, they're usually fighting topside banana to commit deeper to allow more space for these A players to operate, even help reinforce it. Nades are good for both squads, but Imagine the spam is right on the money. Okay, I'm surprised that Techno even considered the peak, considering the amount of spam that Clutch have been throwing their way a number of rounds prior. This is what I was talking about. Maybe a bit of aggression. I was hoping it from the B players, but asserting yourself inside the apartments is another good way to counteract what could be a potential A-side finish.
They do have a lot of utility here. Oh, that might be it. But IZR is relying on the fact that they shouldn't be expecting a second player around in the vicinity. Molotov down at his feet means he's got 2 of those to play with. IZR, you've got 2 incendiaries, buddy. That's a lot of time to be buying and a lot of time you've just sold off.
You know, you could look at that and say that's timing, but imagine turned around to throw a nade to his teammate in IZR, and when he turned back around, the AWP was scoped in on him and he died. You know, that you could say that that's timing. That could also as well simply have been if you're going to peak, make sure that there's something alongside it. You know, you lost sight lines of it for a moment, and that's an angle that could be exploited. You can't always live in fear of what could be, but given the lack of presence, there wasn't a player that could even be close enough to rotate. You have to play more defensive there if you're clutch. You know, use and burn through some of that utility so that you have some information to work off of, or at least some extra room. But fully constricted. Good shots from both Annihilation and Mara. The other 3 don't even attempt it on the clutch side. I said they were going to be in down economically should they lose that round. I did. That's true. But because they save those weapons, they can reinvest. And we've seen Imagine is more than comfortable to go with a Mag 7. I think we saw a single kill from it on Nuke, but maybe Inferno can be better results for him.
Oh!
Excuse me?
Yes, please. More of that if you don't mind. 1 taps? A few more. Well, didn't even have to go on a banana, and you're still getting pretty much all the map control in all the world. Mara will end up falling, but he's done his job.
Even running through Molotovs, IHC knows that this site should be the lesser contested. AWP could have been retrieved, and certainly has done, but this is a save call once again here from Clutch Gaming. They do have enough in the tank if they save these 2 weapons over to reinvest, so this is a very, very nice save to go for. But, yeah, I mean, listen, as much as I love to see that from Mara, dry swinging into Banana when they could have had an ult, you never had confirmation that they did or not.
But if he hits the headshot, doesn't matter if they have an ult.
I mean, it doesn't. You know, he was partial flashed. He just wide swung, which is so crazy to me.
Yeah, and that's why he's a coach, right? He understands what he needs to do. And sometimes you just gotta press W. Or D in this case.
I think he strafed from right side to left, so I think it was actually...
Okay, I got both of them wrong.
Yep, that's fine. It's all good as well for Clutch. Like I said, the reinvestment comes in. And maybe they'll go for that apartments pressure again. It wasn't something that was spotted from IHC. This time, you know, they didn't have a lurker in Bartak. They didn't have somebody set up for territory control. They were very much committed to a B-side attack the last time over. No, they opted for a different approach.
Oh. Has to be very careful as Imagine over here because he's playing a significantly more defensive angle, and with the flashbangs they are considering the retake. However, Techno's already avoided it. Second flashbang goes forward. Techno is perfectly positioned, wants to go in for more, and if he's playing like that, he can have as many as he wants.
This is, I mean, it's a perfect read as well there from Techno. Great adaptation here from IHC. You know, they were getting brutalized on the banana takes in rounds prior, and all it took was for them to start going a bit more, you know, set up for a little bit more of an execute if they felt like they had some extra room to play off of. But sometimes, you know, if your opponent starts off very in rhythm, very in form on your area, just going to the other side of the map and forcing them to sort of cool off a little bit can be a great way to just, I guess, reimagine your takes on that side of the map. Because those were duels that Techno wasn't winning at the start of this game. Now, this comes out swinging. Guns are blazing. Because that fear, it creeps up your neck rather quickly. Clutch started this game off quite well, even with a couple close shaves, able to maintain form, and Banana was never an issue. But now the B site's been compromised, the A site's seen as much of an attack in these rounds gone by, and what was looking like it could have been a decent lead attained moving into that second half, IHC have already snatched that and could even move in for more.
Stardust caught out as he's trying to readjust and position himself slightly better. Azteca, however, is also just not left with the weapon required, and where Clutch was feasibly in contention for 9 at one point, IHC have already set themselves up for the exact same amount. A 2-on-5, which seems nearly impossible. Blitz is in the perfect position. He's spotted out the head and hands of IZR, and, well, this is just 9-10 getting whatever kills he can. And, listen, guys, this is the definition of stat padding, but he won't be getting any way with it. 9-6, and IHC will come back and bring things in their favor on Inferno. We're going to find out how they do in the second half after a short break.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
I know that you're trapped inside this wave. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna save you from me? I can't see you drown. 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 Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in, and I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. It's a toxic addiction. You're a guilty affliction. Yeah. I can't breathe. I need to get some air, but it's a toxic addiction. You're a guilty affliction. Yeah. You can't breathe and you just need some air. Yeah. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in, and I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe.
A fantastic recovery from IHC, sets them firmly in the lead, but Clutch have shown us enough spunk that we can't really count them out yet just because they're behind in 3 rounds. A chance to equalize once again, similar to Nuke on 6-9. Well, Annihilation at this stage is just waiting for the full pop to come through. There's one flashbang and he has to try and avoid it.
Smoke front sight, and a third player here does mean that it alleviates some pressure, especially with Spawn being a potential avenue of attack. Finally, Imagine gets his hands on that frag, and Bartak will try a swing at it. Will succeed. Both him and Mara staying alive at the back of the site, and that smoke down as well means that that crunch from construction cannot happen. Imagine all that's left, and now stuck in an impossible position. The flash is perfect, and Blitz stares him down before finding the frag.
Finally, a pistol round going their way. This is the 4th pistol round of the series and the only one that IHC have won so far. Of course, capitalization is still a question mark, though I imagine not a very big one, as Clutch is opting to not buy into too much, if anything at all, that is. Just a Zeus on Imagine.
Yeah, a couple ways IHC could have won that round as well. Like, Mara had a chance to get the opening kill, which was quite nice, but Clutch just weren't considering that they would even fight as far as that, I don't imagine. Gets a little awkward, but Mara's there to cover. They were pulled. And Annihilation turned the wrong way. That's a full blocked kill. They're the only one that they'll find. Will there be a chink, a crack in the armor here of IHC? Nuke looked pretty vulnerable. You know, a map that is rather comfortable for IHC as well. You know, domestically they played a lot, and against the top teams in the Asia region they played it a lot. Even in their international forays, it was dabbled upon, mainly by other teams, not by IHC. They only pick Inferno.
Oh, looked like there was a chance there, but Annihilation instead barely gets away, as the slight sliver of wall will be saving his posterior.
Yeah, I think saving his melon as well. I think he got dinked through that wall.
He did.
And no armor, so yeah, it's much more of a factor. But Stardust, knife out. That you don't need armor. You just need to have your wits about you. 9-10, good trade. It does mean that Techno's completely siphoned, and yeah, no reinforcements coming in from these B players. They won't even attempt this. A 4-on-2 that is completely won out. Clutch get their first round on the T side.
Pretty nicely done, to be honest. This is where Annihilation and his demise was something that looked like Techno was just completely unprepared for. Maybe the path of retreat was supposed to be back towards the A side to cover off apartments, because Techno looked very lost there. Annihilation instead opting to be inside the arches because of Blitz's earlier demise. That could be the reason why. So, great read, great timings, and fantastic execution from Clutch to capitalize on Annihilation and his maybe over-aggression.
Yeah, this was definitely the map that I think I had the most apprehension about for Annihilation when he first kind of stepped out from what, D13 I think it was.
NKT before this.
Yes, no, I know, but D13 before.
Oh yes, D13.
Yeah.
Yes.
My concern was going to be that, you know, the style he played on D13 was very aggressive, very in their face, and then NKT almost like overcompensated, too passive. I think on IHC he has kind of struck a middle ground, but you know, sometimes you get aggressive, you get punished, and yeah, he needed to get those 2 kills, otherwise the round was lost, and it was. So, Clutch with their first, and have shown a little vulnerability. They actually capitalized on more. Good neighbor towards Banana will keep them hot to trot. And even Bartak taking a little bit of a singe on the toes, but they won't stick around. This was an area that was shut down multiple times over by Clutch on their defense. IHC have no interest in being quite so assertive. And even against, you know, we certainly noted in domestic matchups, Rare Adam, IHC sometimes play like overly defensive setups, and it works quite well. But they're even doing that against international teams, and it is succeeding. So all that practice put into place.
I will say you are leaving potentially the two lowest firepower players, at least on paper, on your team on the B-bomb site. So wouldn't be surprised if Blitz is forced to go out for some slightly earlier rotates, and Hastika has a window to try and exploit that. Mara, though, Bartek and himself are going to be able to combine for a quick one. Bartek will peek back out over. They get the second as well. IZR not prepared for the secondary peek, and it's a 3-on-3, but Hastika is the one to give them the advantage. One that might be lost very soon. Techno is hot on the heels of Hastika. It's a flank on flank. Who will activate first as Blitz is moving through the smoke, and right there, his corpse will lie. Hastika has somehow managed to flank the flanker, and the prey is now the hunter.
Yeah, got all the info, knew exactly where Techno was, so just pinned him in position, and Hastika plasters him on the wall, too. 2 rounds back-to-back, IHC down to pistols. And this is looking quite good. Clutch are getting control of areas. The success of Hastika's lurk as well is a precedent that is pulled in early, and will be something that they have to consider in rounds to come. IHC were very quick to run over to the other side of the map, but left vulnerable because of it. So far, not seen setup for executes here for Clutch. I think it's been very much kind of on the fly. Not established territory and use that territory to then line up on their utility for a particular timing. They're waiting to see what IHC do in a number of these rounds and adapting quite quickly. A little bit more bare bones in the approach, but the decision tree is the same. And what a call this would be. Full stack on B from IHC's USPs. While they'll exec all the same, there'll be no one home. So a nice bow to tie on this round. Just imagine they want to get away without taking too much damage. I love that we see so much growth out of not only IHC and Rare Adam. The people are paying attention to the Asia region. We see a lot of growth just domestically in the Mongolian circuit that has been, I think in previous years, been a bit all over the place. Like you look at some of the players on Renewal, on Clutch, on IHC, darting between roster to roster every 6 months. Trying to find something that fits. But it feels like there's a bit of a rise from not only Renewal, from Clutch as well.
I mean, we've got, 3 teams in Roy that are definitely, contenders for the future. So it's Renewal, Eruption, and IC. Obviously, if they will automatically be contenders. But then, yeah, there's definitely a little bit more depth there. There's still a few more players that are in the vicinity and thereabouts, right? Obviously you've got Clutch here, but I'm sure that there's some lineup that's being assembled in ESL Open as well right now that we're going to see next season. So yeah, the Mongolian scene is giving us depths that perhaps we weren't really ready for.
Again, I'll say it, Splice were 2 ahead of their time.
They were. They really were. Well, that's the juicy.
Yeah, after the first one, you thought you might be able to escape without just going down to nades, but HEs are what do him in, and IZR is trapped in by the Molotov. The spam from Bartak is right on the money, and so all that B-side pressure is gone.
Hastika good for the one, but it's Annihilation who's gone down. Techno wants to try and find him. Hastika! Oh, you monster! Beautiful stuff coming out. Blitz will end up falling to 9-10. Bartek and Mara now in a 2-on-3. IHC, despite the fantastic start that they had, Hastika's very strong and competent shoulders have given them not just a way back in, just basically the entire round.
Yeah, 5-on-3. This is how that round started. you know, losing both your players over at B, and still they're able to salvage something from it. And more, it's all beginning to make sense. Hastika's impact has been felt on both maps. Was having some really nice, I mean, just display of mechanics, and even when he was thrown into really chaotic situations, hit some wonderful shots. And 910 will seal this round in with a nice shot himself. Clutch will not be denied. They lose the pistol, they lose the next round, but since they've been on guns, 4 straight.
Well, that's 910 finding Mara very quickly. I have to say, IHC are very much stretched against the ropes, even on Inferno. Obviously, Nuke was not their map pick and everything. We know Clutch have been grinding that one out consistently. And yes, the absence of score is an eternal asterisk to any success that any team gets against them. But quite a bridge too.
And even amongst all these rumors, it's also looking like a pretty well-oiled machine. We're in the right place to greet them over at B. Bomb not committing. It's all the way down bottom B. And with that smoke down, almost feel like they wanted Clutch to actually come at them, but at the same time, they need to puff out their chest. Pretend like it's just any ordinary hold. Oh no, don't come at us at B. And they don't. They actually take that warning and go the other way of the stack. And just some pretty solid decisions. Some will look at that as 50-50, but Clutch a pretty good read on the situation. They haven't looked out of depth, out of, you know, they're not a small fish being thrown into, against a bigger fish. This fish has arms.
I'm just imagining someone's chucking fishes at each other and it's all a competition.
Like,
of who's got the
wins,
big...
man. Usually big fish beat small fish.
The small fish is proving to be slippery.
Hmm. May even have an electrical component, like an eel.
Oh, that's terrible.
Nature is scary.
Are eels fishes? Do they count? Wait. Are eels fish?
I believe
Or
they
water
count.
snakes?
I believe.
Okay, so they're
because they've got
fish, okay.
skills, yeah.
Alright, I thought maybe they're like a water snake or something.
Hmm.
Interesting. Have you ever eaten an eel, Michael?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Nor do I intend
Well-
to. That's a shout out to all the eels watching.
Well, Clutch can feel safe because Michael's not coming up with them. Hell, they've got firepower though, so maybe it wouldn't matter. Trying to aim me, I've got rifles.
Yeah, deep mid-smoke thrown by IHC and an immediate boost there from Clutch, so countermeasures were in place just in case IHC wanted to get aggressive off of that. One of the few times that they've seen that smoke deployed, and the adaptation was rather swift. Imagine taking a lot of damage via utility, but will survive. 5-on-5, and a pretty standard setup from IHC to try and address their maneuvers. Now, this is going to once again be a critical position for Annihilation to hold. They've been applying pressure into the arches, but he may be circumvented.
Look, it has to be a better performance from Techno as they're trying to come into it. Blitz has got a Molotov in his hand. This is not going to work out for them. Their timing is impeccable. Clutch are just dominating any contest where they're allowed to get brackets and apartments control. There's nothing they can do on IHC at all.
I mean, the clutch timing is great, but at the same time, I'd see a little bit of sleep at the wheel there. No one's watching for short. No one's looking at the apartments. You know, as soon as they hear any steps being made, Blitz pulling out a Molotov, when, you know, at that point, if they're making noise and you're conceding that much territory over towards short, it's too much free roam that even if that Molotov goes down, it's very likely won't get down in time. So I think a bit of mismanagement, getting away with guns isn't even a possibility here for IHC. Clutch won't be denied. This may as well have been their map pick. They look, honestly, more threatening at the start of their T-side half than IHC did.
And so much of it is coming off the back of 9-10. He is 20-9 right now. That is kind of nuts. He's also been throwing some really good flashes, not to mention.
Yeah, man like 9-10 going 9-20.
Thankfully, he is not going 9-20. He is going 29.
Yeah,
yes.
I changed it from KD to DK, you know, Donkey Kong.
I was thinking Drift King, but okay. We aren't referencing the third iteration of Fast and the Furious then.
Oh yeah, another DK, of course.
Yes, Mara, however, will take down a Imagine. And if there's anything that could give IHC the miracle that they need, it would be around like this one, right? Where you can actually pick up a few weapons if it's possible, if you can get some magical, mystical kills. But that's the thing about magic. It can be a little bit hard to come by.
Or fake.
Ostica doesn't want to be revealing himself. The smoke will do just that. They're close enough to try and punish. That should be in the cards. Techno definitely considering it. The call's been made. Their stack is accurate. Flashbang shown up. Hostica should be going down. Techno to take the peek, but Hostica's around the corner on the other side of the map. The B side execute is coming through. Bartek waits around. Flashbang to his face. The lineup that he's held for oh so long will simply not prevail. Hostica might be down, but they know that this B bomb site is a 3-on-3, and they found the first. Bartek inside the smoke. Who's out of it? Gets nothing, and neither does Mara. IHC might have had the perfect call, but they just could not get the shots they needed.
Oh, and they're holding for the flank as well, so Blitz a dead man walking. That's scary. That's very, very awkward as you start moving into that B bomb site. You feel very constricted as well with the fact that you're being given this territory, but then you lose your lurk, and you don't have anyone that can just sort of suicide and gather info for you. But trying to commit through smokes, trying to distract for what it was a third player on that B site. And I think if they had simply tucked away, you know, not revealed that there was much of a stack, if the initial B side holders had been the ones to fall, Clutch may have let their guard down, but they were given opportunity to jump through those smokes, and they'll do it again. Imagine straight through and Blitz to hit the deck. Techno under pressure because he's the sole man left on A. They started 3B.
Hopefully blinded out, but they're moving right past him. He can't hit anyone. You'd think with all those targets he'd end up with at least the one, but no, not to be. Not in the slightest.
They're getting schooled. They are getting schooled by Clutch. Which is not a phrase I expected to say this game.
I'm glad we picked this one.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean you.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, the Mongolian head-to-head would be quite interesting, so it proves to be quite a close game on Nuke. One that, you know, you brought it up, and I certainly agree. One was almost stolen away by IHC. Clutch could have won on that first map. But now looking like the much more composed team here on IHC's pick. Oh. 9-10 had simply been the low player, and that could have been another kill found. But 2 weapons will survive here for IHC. Max loss bonus has been their friend, and might continue to be if Clutch continued in this form.
Man, I mean, Max loss bonus is a bit of a toxic friend, though, right? It's one you don't really want to have. It's better than not having any friends at all. But also, you'd rather just be, winning.
I think the real concern here for IHC is that it's not as though it's been Mara that's been targeted and he's been like a glaring issue. They've been losing a lot of their A-site duels, whether it's mistimings on utility or getting caught dying without, even getting your one kill. That's onus on players like Blitz, like Techno.
Yeah.
Like
Techno,
Annihilation.
I feel like more than anyone else right now. Annihilation as well, to a large extent. But I do feel as if, although it's not glaringly obvious that it might be because of Mara, their positioning is slightly different. At least, well, not in the last 2 rounds, but before that, they were trying to compensate very heavily for the slightly reduced firepower on the B bomb side. But we saw 4 players early on the bomb side there as well. So your A side positioning becomes so much more limited in what you can do. Techno and Annihilation, have been dropping the ball pretty big time as well, and Blitz hasn't had any individual moments. Plus, let's be honest, they've had a few moments where, hey, they're just holding onto a Molotov or flashbang, something like it. So yeah, you're right. Clutch is just straight up outplaying them in a way that even Score's presence might not have made up for. But that's a big kill to find. 9-10 down. Oh my god, are you...
Immediate counter and taking space. Stardust, the double entry over at A. Techno, all that's left, and he needs to be the one to perform, and he finds Hastika. Same move that Hastika would have pulled himself on his CT side, but still 3-on-3.
Techno needs to do everything on his own, and he's not been having the greatest of games. Drops down, and Izzer is ready with the Glock. Doesn't even need to pull out the AWP. And now both B-side players are once again relegated to duties of economy management. And man, listen. All right, that's a cool kill to get on 9-10. What the hell is that from Annihilation of the peek out? Right out wide, no flashes used, nothing at all. Plenty of room given up. That's such a big gamble to take.
I see where you're coming from, given that, from Stardust's point of view, he's just out in the middle of nowhere, right? But he peeked down middle, he found 9-10, he re-navigated through short and over to the arches. He thought it was still covered. He just peeked there moments ago, and there was no one hot on his heels. Didn't fire off a shot, didn't fire off a bullet. Stardust was able to slip through the defenses because there was no one to cover that retreat or cover a potential play through to long. The countermeasure there from Stardust was so quick that I think it caught Annihilation off guard. Does look a little silly from Stardust's point of view. Like, why are you swinging so wide? But...
Jumping up and swinging as well.
Yeah.
By the way,
I think as well though. But like the B-side players didn't move. Techno gets his kill, retreats into the apartments, and then is kind of thrust in a terrible position. And nobody showed any urgency of going in for that retake. They were already thinking about saving before that happened. So I think IHC are a little bit worn down by how this game has gone. Only those 2 rounds at the start of their CT side, and now it's been all clutch, but a good way to start things off. A double kill with the Molotov, a little assistance by peppering as well by Mara.
pepper and fire, best chefs you can get. Got to be cooking up something if you want to go back for the overtime equalizer. Clutch have been looking impeccable. Even in the 5v3 earlier on that IHC was able to get, courtesy of a similar circumstance, and they were not able to materialize that into a round win.
This time there will be no saving grace. It doesn't feel as though there is a gap, a thread that, or a needle rather, that could be thread. Techno will still maintain position, but he's been caught on a timing similar to this before. Got the kill on the lurk, and that's the round over.
Yeah. 9-10 should have nothing to do here. And he realizes it. Does want to chuck away the AWP as well. And just a reminder, IZR did have an off going into this one. 9-10 did buy a second one regardless. But hey, it shouldn't really matter. They've got a lot of money.
Just making extra sure they can't move into a double up setup. something that they would have explored with Score.
Yeah, that's true. Who would double up now?
Might not be a part of the repertoire.
Didn't even think about that. They're going for 4 grenades on the IHC side. And look, I get it. Utility has been giving them quite a fair bit recently, but with the way they've been giving up control of certain parts of the maps, a few extra flashes would go a long way. So in compensation for that, they're getting more aggressive this time in apartments again. Haseka's generally been good at recognizing this and using it to waste time, but with Annihilation's op completely dedicated to the apartments area, it's all about timing.
Heard the
Nova
tag.
Techno is also going to be peeked forward, lines it up, almost gets the second as well. Annihilation repeats back out over, taking advantage of the spam, spots out 910 as well on his retreat. A missed shot gives him a longer lifetime. Molotov and Smoke both quickly lined up and deployed. Again, the B bomb site players are immobile. Statues frozen in place. And that makes it all the more vital that Annihilation and Blitz are able to deliver. But there's so many flashes, there's so much utility, and the ab spot, it's coming. Blitz is here to intercept the spring transfer as well. And Annihilation cannot trace 910. It's Izzer and 910 to take him down and take the site with it. And finally, the B-bomb site is called to order, called to task on the retake, a 2-on-2. Got a Smoke to try and move in with, but with the motor smoke dissipating, 910 is going to have an angle on Bartek. Mara all alone. The shoes he's had to fill so far have been gargantuan. But can he grow to do so over here? No, doesn't seem likely. 910 is playing with him. He is toying with him. And Mara will not have a chance. IHC, they are watching the bomb tick down. They are hearing their fates. And they are going to be whistling out of existence. Clutch Gaming to take away their map. They can bring it to a 1-1 scoreline for the series.